Da-da-da, da-da-da. I'll probably get a copyright strike for that. Here we go.
Joe Talks Sports. Let's start the show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite podcast for all things West Virginia, Pittsburgh Penguins, Pittsburgh Steelers, and whatever else we want to talk about at the time. What's going on, everybody? It is Monday, May 9th, and we're in the heat of it right now. We're in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. We're 3 games in, and I don't think you could ask for better as of now. Today, we also got some West Virginia talk because the transfer portal is finally benefiting us a little bit. So stick around for that. We're going to get into that right after we talk about these Penguins. I may look a little different today. I got rid of the beard. I don't know why. I regret it every time I shave, but that's what it is. Guys, if you're new here, this is Joe Talk Sports, the show where we talk everything. I already said West Virginia Penguins, whatever. If you're been here before, welcome back. Guys, go down, hit the like to get that algorithm pushing us out. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you're watching the channel and you haven't subscribed, what are you doing, man? Let's get those numbers up. Let's get it pumping out before football season gets here and all that stuff. But hey, we're in the Stanley Cup playoffs right now. And we got to talk about these games, especially that first game, the last game too. Hey, we're up 2-1 in the series. We got one more game at home. We split the series in New York, best case scenario with what's been going on in goals. So let's talk about that first game. Going into the playoffs, Jari's already injured, so we're on to Smith. We got Louis Domingue as the backup goalie. We go into game 1. New York comes out of the gate and pounds the shit out of us. Ryan Reeves, everyone was hitting everybody. They were taking us out. They were controlling the gameplay. They were faster. They were winning all the puck races. They were winning the possession battle. They scored the first goal. Can't remember scoring the first. They were up in the first period, but they hit Raquel. Raquel goes out in the first period on a dirty hit. It wasn't like a super. Listen, I come from the 90s. I was a hockey fan in the 90s, so I grew up in a different era. So to me, that's not a dirty hit, guys. Like, I've seen way worse. But in this era, that's a dirty hit. And what I don't understand is when it first happened, they made it a major and they took it back, which didn't make sense to me. If you call that a major, if you don't call it a major at first, okay. But if you call that a major, I didn't see anything that would like say to the refs, take that back. This isn't a major. He left his feet. He hit high. It was a bad hit in this era of hockey. But the Rangers came out to play, man. They came out and playoff hockey, and the Penguins looked slow. They looked outmatched. But they battled back in that second period. That was a huge second period. The third period, I don't think anyone scored goals. They go into overtime. 3 overtimes. So we go into overtime, 3-3. DeSmith and New York's goalie, whatever his name, Sorokin, they're both having the games of their lives right now. But the difference is New York's goalie is a Vezina candidate. This guy might legit win the Vezina Trophy this year. He's the best goalie all season. We're on our backup goalie, DeSmith, who started in below the AHL in the Western Hockey League. He played for the Nailers. He worked his way up to the AHL. He worked his way up to an NHL backup, and now he's starting game 1 in the playoffs, and he's having the game of his life. DeSmith is playing out of his mind, even though New York has 3 goals on the board. I wouldn't blame DeSmith for any of those from what I can remember. Defense was bad in this game. I mean, the Penguins' defense, guys, has been bad through pretty much every game in this series. And even though they're up 2-1, defense has been sketchy. So they got to pull it together. And we got some injuries. We'll talk about that too. But so we're in the second overtime. There's 10 minutes left in the second overtime, and DeSmith goes to the bench. It looked innocent. Thought he'd go over, maybe have an equipment issue, maybe trying to buy some time for his team to catch their breath. It looked innocent. And he goes out of the game with an injury. And Louis Domingue comes into a game, and this is why I put a tweet out about this. Being a goaltender, I think just a goaltender in general in the NHL has to be the hardest job in sports. But a backup goalie, imagine. This isn't just a regular game. This is the playoffs. And this is not just the playoffs. You're in the second overtime of a playoff game with like 100 shots on the board for both sides. Imagine sitting on the bench as a backup goalie for, I don't know, God, at that time it was almost 4 hours because the game started at 7 o'clock, 7, 8, 9, 10, yeah, 4 hours. Imagine sitting on the bench in 4 hours. You don't think you're coming in and having to come in 10 minutes into a second overtime where every other player has been playing this whole game. They got their adrenaline going. They got the speed of the game, and you're coming in cold into that. That's a tough job for anybody. I don't know if anybody's got a tougher job in sports. Like, that's crazy. The mental fortitude it takes. So the Ming comes in. The Smith goes out. When that happened, let me tell you, I thought it was, I was like, oh, Jesus, it's over. It's over. And I like the Ming. It had nothing to do with him. It's like the Smith is playing the game of his life. The Rangers are pretty much dominating. There's over almost 100 shots on the board total. Like, there's no way this guy's coming in cold and not getting blown up right away. He held it down. You could tell when he came in, the Penguins tightened up. I think Crosby especially knew they had to end that game quickly because you could see he took it up a notch. The Penguins tightened up for Domingue, but he had to make some big saves early in that game. So he definitely made some saves and held a minute. And then they win the game in the third overtime. So 3 overtimes. The first game of this series was one of the best Penguin playoff games in history, which is crazy because it's game 1 against New York. But this is going to go down. It was an amazing game. It was a fun game, I think, because of the goalie battle. And then Domingue coming in. Mr. Spicy Pork and Broccoli, by the way. That's the even bigger story. After the game, he said he didn't think he was going in. So after the first overtime, my man was eating some spicy pork and broccoli, which is not good on your tummy if you're going to play some sports. So he ate that and came in, and now he's a spicy pork and broccoli guy and a Pittsburgh legend. But that's what it is. So game 2, Dumoulin ends up not playing in game 2. Apparently he got hurt. So Dumoulin's out. Zucker was still out. Raquel's out. DeSmith's out. So we go in with Louis Domingue and I think New York's emergency goalie because we couldn't get a goalie up in time. In game 2, Pittsburgh looked pretty good early. New York ended up taking that over, blowing it out. We're not going to talk much about that game. That was a bad game. Game 3 on Saturday. We got Zucker back, who, by the way, Zucker in that game, especially early in the game, was very good. He was very gritty. He was running around and hitting people. I had no idea Zucker had that kind of sandpaper in him, but he was rocking people. He was going around. This is the best. That first period of game 3 was the best the Penguins have looked in this series. They came out flying. They controlled every aspect of that game, from the physical part, from the offensive zone, puck possession, puck movement. They looked amazing in that first period. They went up, I think it was 4-1 after the first period. New York battled back, somehow tied up this game, which I was so angry about. But luckily the Penguins scored. They went up 5-4, I think. And then New York's pulled their goalie and the Penguins padded that score up to 7-4 to win game 3. Crosby with a crazy between the legs, empty net assist. Passing Paul Coffey for, I think don't quote me on this, 4th all-time in playoff points, around there. But he passed Paul Coffey, so. But yeah, that's where we're at so far. It's been announced the Smith is out for the playoffs. He's having core muscle surgery. I feel bad, but this man's having the game of his life in game 1, goes out, didn't even see an injury, didn't look like anything happened, and now he's out for the season with core muscle surgery. So we are with Louis Domingue until Tristan Jarry comes back. And Tristan Jarry is practicing along with Raquel, which is a good sign. So it looks to me like, you never know, but it looks like they could be back in this series. I'm hoping for tonight's game. If not, maybe we'll get him back by Wednesday, hopefully. But so as of now, when you look at this playoff series, obviously the Penguins are up, which is great. But what I've seen from this series so far that makes me feel good is the past few years when the Penguins have trouble getting at the first round, they lose these close games. They don't get the bounces. They don't get what they need. They go to overtime and they lose. The Penguins are battling back. The first 2 games, even though they lost the second one. So that's what, but that first game they got outplayed. New York was the better team by far. But they went to 3 overtimes with their 3rd-string goalie when their backup got injured in second overtime, and they won the game. And that's the type of game in the past few seasons the Penguins wouldn't win. So they won that. And then Saturday, New York came back when we were clearly ahead and tied that game up 4-4. The past few postseasons, that feels like a game that would go to overtime and then the Penguins would end up losing and it would be a deflating loss. But they didn't. They scored the go-ahead goal and then they patted it up to 7-4 on the empty net. So those two games to me make me feel really good about this Penguins team, especially in this first round. And I think when you got a young team like the Rangers, a game like that, and that overtime loss in game one when you were the better team, that can rattle a young team. So right now I'm feeling really, really good about the Penguins. I said the Pens in 5 before the series started, and I still feel good about that. You know, if we can steal this home game and then go back to New York and finish them off, I feel good. As far as their injuries, hopefully we see Dumoulin too, because the defense, we got to talk about the Pens defense. Defense has been a mess, especially in our own end. They've been really bad. If you've been following us on Twitter, which you should be, J Talk Sports, we tweet every game. If you're not part of it, we tweet back and forth with you guys. We talk. It's fun. So go follow us on there if you're not. We'll talk during the games. But I put on there, for some reason, the defense keeps trying to play goalie. They're backing way too far. They were doing it with the Smith. They're doing it with Domingue. They're backing way too far into the net, and they're allowing New York players to shoot the puck more than they should. They're screening their own goalie. They're knocking them out of the way. When you get to the hash marks, that's when you should be pushing players out. You don't back into the goalie. You don't play goal. You play defense. And we've done a really bad job of that this period, everyone. The best defenseman in this series so far has been Marino. He had a tough start to game one. He got hammered a lot in that first period, but he has bounced back. He had some grit in game 3, and he has been by far overall the best defenseman in this series. Pedersen has struggled. Matheson was horrible in game 2. He was the worst defenseman. He may have cost us that game. He was really bad. He's been up and down so far. He was better in game 3. Letang has been up and down. Letang's had some really good moments. He's had some really, really bad moments and turnovers that have cost us. And he's been really bad in his defensive zone. We got to get it together, though. They got to pull it together here. Hopefully Dumoulin can get back and kind of complete that, because Letang and Matheson, for whatever reason, they don't go together. They don't gel. So we got to split those guys up, whether Dumoulin's back or not. I don't think that pairing works. But yeah, so we got that. Jari looks like back soon. Hopefully Raquel comes back soon, because the depth, even though depth scoring, I was so proud, man. Game 3, Jeff Carter had some goal. Erod had a hat trick and didn't even get the hat. How you have a playoff hat trick in game 3 and he didn't even get the hats because there was a goal change. And I don't even think they announced it, but I think he had a hat trick unless they switched it back. They switched that first goal, I think, like twice between Carter and Erod. I don't know who got it, but he either had a hat trick or he had 2 goals. I don't know, but Erod played an amazing game 3. Jeff Carter had a great game. McGinn had a really great game. He played his ass off too. So hopefully Raquel can get back and help Malkin's line flesh out. And then we got the depth and everything's going to look good. And hopefully Jari can get back sooner or later, even though Domingue is that guy right now, Mr. Spicy Pork and Broccoli all day. But let me know what you guys think. We got game 4 tonight at 7 o'clock. I think the Penguins continue and take this game. I don't want to see this go back and forth. I want to see the Penguins take this, go up 3-1 in the series, and then, you know, finish it off at their leisure. So hopefully we can get that going. Let me know what you guys think about the series. Are you feeling good about it? I think it's definitely some good signs. Let's talk briefly about these other series. FYI, I record these episodes Sunday night, so some of these games are going on or haven't happened. I'm looking right now at the Toronto Leaf series. Lightning's winning 5-0. They're probably going to win this game and even up the series. Right now, that series 2-1 Toronto. Lightning is fighting, though. Probably going to even that one up. Boston won today and tied the Hurricane series at 2-2. I'm surprised by that. That series is closer than I thought. Same thing, Blues Wild. That series is tied at 2. Caps blew out the Panthers the other day. They currently lead that series 2-1. Are the Panthers going to blow another first round playoff game? What? I thought this was their year. The Avs, clearly the best, maybe the best team in the league right now. Clearly the best team in the Western Conference. Blew out the Predators 7-3. The game before that was like 8-1, 8-something, 5. I don't know. They're up in the series 3-0. That's going to be a sweep. I don't see any way the Predators are winning the game in that series. Dallas 2-1. That series is closer than I thought. I thought Calgary would be a lot better, but that's what we got going on in the playoffs so far. Edmonton up 2-1. For now, they play tonight. Later tonight, we'll see what they do. So by the time you guys are watching this, that series is going to be different. Let me know what you guys think. Right now, looking like Florida might be in trouble. I don't know. We're gonna see Penguins Washington round 2, maybe. Be exciting. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about this. And let me know what you think. I think we get, maybe not tonight. I think we get Raquel back by Wednesday. Maybe Jari. It depends on how Domingue's doing and how the team's doing. Ideally, Jari had a broken foot. I mean, you're pushing him back pretty quick. If Domingue's playing good, let him rest until the second round, man. Get him that break, more time to recover, more time to practice. Raquel, I don't know. We'll see. He needs to come back though. Sooner the better. The Penguins need that second line to start producing. They need him with Malkin. So let me know what you guys think about that. That's our playoffs news. Hey, let's move on to West Virginia. Man, we've been talking all year about the transfer portal and nil and how bad it is and how West Virginia's been gutted. But hey, we've got some help lately. This week, West Virginia lands a commitment from Miami. Tariq Austin Cave. Got some defensive help, man. He made it official on social media the other day. He played in Miami, 17 games. I'm reading his stuff right now. He's going to join the linebacker core where we need him because we lost some from transfers and that we need some depth there. And I think that's going to be a big help, man, because I've been worried about the defense. I told you, I think, especially after landing JT, the offense is going to be fine. I like our running back. I think we got some good young wide receivers. Defense has me worried, but we've had some help the past from the transfer portal. And we also had a defensive line addition from Georgia Tech, Mike Lockhart, a redshirt junior defensive lineman, has signed and transferred to West Virginia from Georgia Tech. He will have 3 years of eligibility remaining, so that's good. And we definitely need some help on the defense. So we've had some good transfers lately. They've been hinting that West Virginia has some more transfers coming in. And, you know, is this the JT Daniels effect? Does everyone want to come here and play now? We talked about that. Also, JT Daniels, I better move to my mic. You probably can't hear me if I'm back there. Became official. He officially signed with West Virginia. Officially official. So he's coming. He's on the way. So JT Daniels is coming. We got some transfers rolling in. The transfer portal seems to be helping now. Nil is still an issue. So hopefully it doesn't take any more from us. Pitt lost a big player this week. Good for us in week 1, I guess. Bad for them. Now everyone's outraged. Talk about that. When it's a team other than West Virginia, all of a sudden it's a problem. When it's us, we just need to deal with it, right? But I'm not going to get into that. I feel for you, Pitt fans. I feel for you. It hit us hard. It's been hitting us hard. But now are we seeing the JT Daniels effect, guys? This is it. You got Graham Harrell come in. You got JT Daniels. Now is West Virginia a destination players want to come to and transfer to? We'll see that as it continues and if it keeps going. Like coaches have been hinting, people in the know have been hinting that there's more to come. So we could fill out this defense before the season gets here. And I think that's a great thing because our defense is still a little weak, but I like these new additions. I think it really helps out and I'm excited. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about that. One thing I also wanted to talk about, WV's West Virginia's odds to win the Big 12 were just released. So currently now, West Virginia has the 4th best odds to win the league at a plus 800 on Bet Rivers Sportsbook. The 3 teams ahead of them, Oklahoma makes sense. Texas, okay. Oklahoma State. I would assume Baylor. I don't know why Baylor's not. I would put Baylor over Oklahoma State, but that's just me. So here are the full odds for the Big 12 title. Okay. Oklahoma at plus 150, Texas at plus 225, Oklahoma State plus 700, West Virginia plus 800, Baylor right below us at plus 1200. I'm not going to go through all, but then you got Iowa State, TCU, Kansas State, Texas Tech, and Kansas at the bottom, which makes sense. I'm surprised Texas Tech isn't a little higher than that. I'm surprised Iowa State isn't higher. But man, that's what I don't think if JT Daniels doesn't transfer, I think we're right down there with Kansas. I'd take the bet just to do it, but that's a JT Daniels effect, man. 4th. And I mean, if you look at these teams above us, how we talked about how is Oklahoma going to be losing a coach, losing some quarterbacks, losing some players. I mean, they've been hit by the transfer portal as hard as West Virginia has almost. And then you got Texas, who I'm surprised is that high on the list. I mean, I know they got some additions, but I don't know. Oklahoma State, I could see that being up there. Like I said, I'm surprised Baylor, Iowa State. It's going to be tough, but we can definitely compete for it this year, which is crazy because a couple weeks ago, a month ago, I think when Harry was still on the show, we talked about it, man. And we said, no way. Like we were positive last year and it bit us. And we were being more realistic this year. And I even asked Harry, I said, with Oklahoma losing all this, what do you think? He said, Oklahoma's still Oklahoma. And that's true. They could be, but boy, last season we should have won that game if we didn't have Jared Day. I mean, that Oklahoma game, I was close. And now you had JT Daniels. They lose their coach. They lose their quarterback. This could be the year finally, guys. We're about to see. I'm excited. I thought I was excited last year. I'm really excited for West Virginia this year. And I try to temper myself because every year I get excited and every year they hurt me to my soul. But I think you got to be excited, right? Like, can you not be with JT Daniels, with Graham Harrell's offense coming in? It's hard not to be excited. I don't know. Am I getting to? I mean, you guys know the plight of the West Virginia fan. We've been here. We've lost the big games. And I mean, in the Rich Rod era, man, we were up there, and then we lose the big games. In the Will Greer era, a lot of those games we're supposed to win, and I don't know. We've been there. So this is going to be a pivotal year for Neal Brown, though. You got JT Daniels. You have your class. You've built your team. Graham Harrell's here. And one thing we haven't talked about, which I think is worth mentioning, if you're Neal Brown, I don't know if you're on the hot seat, but you got to be thinking right now, with Graham Harrell sitting behind you, who's one of the best and most widely sought after offensive minds in the game right now. If you're not good and you're not putting results up, finally, seems like it would be very easy to slide Graham Harrell into that head coaching spot. Because I think pretty soon, especially if he has a good year here, there are going to be teams calling him, if they haven't been already. I think there will be teams calling him for a head coaching position. So I would keep an eye on that if I'm Neal Brown. We got to have a better record. We can't have the same record as last year. We can't do another sideways move. We moved sideways this season. Although, I don't know. See, when you look at it, you're like, did we improve because we were in a lot of these close games? We were one touchdown away or one stop away from beating Maryland. We were one touchdown or one stop away from beating Oklahoma. We were in these close games, we talked game, and we just lost them. So in a way, it looks like an improvement. But on the flip side, you could say we lost those games because we were up and we were one touchdown hold away from winning that game, and we lost it. We lost Maryland. We lost Oklahoma. So you can look at that either way. You could see it as an improvement from the last season, even though we've had, like, I think it was the same record. I don't know. COVID year got me all mixed up, man. I'm still trying to figure out what year it is. But this last season from the previous season, lateral move, record aside, it was a lateral move. We didn't progress. So you could either look at it and say, okay, you almost beat Oklahoma, you almost beat Maryland, you had these close games, we improved. Or you could look at those games and say, we blew those games. That's terrible. It can't be done, And if you win Maryland, and you win an Oklahoma game, not even the Oklahoma game, you win Maryland, it's a very different season. And we're going to have that chance again this year. You open at Pitt. And this is a game I think is very similar. Pitt is definitely a better team than Maryland. But they lost their quarterback. They've lost some transfer portal stuff. You got JT Daniels. You got Graham Harrell. So this is very similar to the Maryland game, where it's not a guaranteed win, but it's a game you could win. So when we're looking at that game, this is a lot like Maryland, where it can shift the season instantly. You lose that game like you did the Maryland one, and then you're skating in those first few weeks. Now, what's your record? Or you win that game and then you build on it. So we're going to find out very quickly this season what kind of season West Virginia is going to have, I think. I think that Pitt game is going to tell us everything we need to know, just like the Maryland game did. Just like after the Maryland game, you saw me and Harry's faces on here the week after, stunned that we lost that game. And then we had the gimme game the next week. And then I don't know the schedule in front of me. I think we had Oklahoma week 3 we look for. We lost that game that we should have won and was close, and we were stunned again. I think you're going to see the same thing this season if we don't beat Pitt. Are we going to beat Pitt? We can beat Pitt now. With JT Daniels, I believe we can beat Pitt. So we're going to find out, guys. We're going to find out very quickly if this team's going to improve. Yeah. We'll look at the schedule when we get closer. I don't want to pull that up now and get into it, but I like the odds. 4th best. I think that's I may have us a little lower. I may put Baylor and Iowa State up there above us. I may move Texas down below us. I don't know if I agree with that. But we're right in there. We said it a couple podcasts ago, a couple months ago. There's been a lot of turnover in the Big 12. West Virginia obviously has the addition of JT Daniels and Graham Harrell. Oklahoma lost a coach. Some teams have lost players. Some teams have gained players. There's been some shuffling going on. This is anybody's league this year, guys, except maybe Kansas. It's not Kansas's league. But other than that, this is anybody's league, and I think it's really up for grabs. I think we saw last year in college football in general, there was more disparity than we've seen in any other year. These weren't just these 4 top teams holding the entire college football. It wasn't just 2 teams holding the Big 12. The Big 12 last year was largely up for grabs until the last few weeks. College football, you had Cincinnati, Michigan, Michigan was up there last year. Michigan State. You had so many teams battling for a top spot last year, and you still had the teams up there. You still had Alabama, whoever, but it was up for grabs. And I think this year, especially in the Big 12, we might see it even more than last year, where this is really anyone's like, I could see Oklahoma winning again because they're Oklahoma. I could see Texas taking this. Oklahoma, I don't know about Oklahoma State or Texas. Actually, well, Texas, I think, got some big moves. I got to look more into that. We'll investigate them more when we get closer and we break down the schedule. Texas could win it. West Virginia, Baylor, Iowa State. I mean, I see 6 or 7 teams right now that could win the Big 12, honestly. Like, I think Iowa State's odds are better than plus 1,400. I think Baylor's odds are better than plus 1,200. A lot of these teams, I would put even odds. I know they were not going to do that for the sports book, but yeah, plus 800 for West Virginia. I might have to take that bet. I mean, that seems like good odds. Put $200 on that baby. Yeah. Or $200. You have to put $800 on it. Never mind. But yeah, anybody's game, really. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, though. So we'll find out quickly when we see Pitt week 1. I'm excited the next few weeks to see if we get more news from the transfer portal. West Virginia had a 5-star recruit visiting Sunday, I think, or this weekend or Monday. So we'll get some news from that soon. See, we got good things coming, guys. This is very exciting for West Virginia. I was more excited than I am last year. And last year I thought I was excited, but I wasn't excited. But we'll see. So yes, I think that's all we got today. We don't got any Steelers news this week off the top of my head, other than Mike Tomlin was at the Penguin game in game 3 and got a huge standing ovation. Of course, this town supports each other, baby. We're always there. So no Steelers news. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on West Virginia transfer portal moving forward. Penguins game for tonight. Should I do a score prediction real quick? Let's see. Is it a low scoring? No, all these games have been high scoring so far. I don't think this is going to be a 2-1 game. I'm going to predict. Let's go. I'm feeling 4-2 for some reason. Let's go 4-2 Pens tonight to win the game, make the series 3-1. You go to New York, you take them out in 5 games like I predicted. Let me know if you guys think of the comments. Let me know your other series predictions. Let me know, hey, if you want me to talk about something I didn't cover it, if there's something going on and I didn't mention it, you want me to talk about it, let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, come back for more. Follow us on all social medias. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, JTalk Sports across the board on all of them. You can go down in the description, hit the link to go follow us on those. You can chat with us during the games, get updates, quicker updates than the podcast if you're on TikTok. So if there's breaking news, I usually try to go on TikTok and Instagram right away and you get that. If not, I'll see you next Monday, guys. This is Joe Talk Sports. Let's go.